Second live in a row in my PJs. Don't look at that. It's my college rival. This is my husband's. Not only am I wearing PJs, I'm wearing my husband's PJs today. That's how it gets to be bundled up and cozy. So this is my second day in a row coming live. I'm actually being guided to share more and be on camera more and share more to the masses. And there's still a little bit of resistance. And so guess what I'm doing? I'm practicing in here. And I'm feeling like I'm close to really start sharing more wisdom with the masses on larger platforms where there's not a private group where, right, like I don't have autonomy, full autonomy of who gets access to it. And this has come up a lot, and I think I shared this yesterday, but I'm having like themes kind of come through in guidance, and they're kind of coming up in conversations, they're coming up in relationship, they're coming up in downloads. And what I felt called to talk about today was the word need and the word boundary. And there's something that I get a lot of resistance to this when I have conversations with people about it. And it's kind of fun because it's kind of like, how do I even put this into words? It's kind of fun because it's showing me that I get to feel a resonance inside, and I get to feel like I get to share what's working for me, and it can be unpopular opinion, like, right? It doesn't necessarily need to land with everyone at this time. And it has to do with words and the association and meaning that we put to specific words. And the word need, right? Like we have actual definitions of words, and then we have experiences and projections and reflections and then we have like associations to certain words and how they resonate with us and how they land. And there's a lot coming through now around wholeness. And when we are 100% feeling whole within, it's this feeling and this resonance inside that we have everything we need inside of us, and there is nothing outside of us that is going to fulfill any sort of void that we have. So whenever I feel any sort of void, or whenever I feel triggered, what I stopped doing was feeling like the need to set a boundary and to like have this like charged energetic response. There was like a come from around needs and boundaries that were really contracting and really did not serve. And I believe that there was a time and a place and a paradigm where this was necessary. And I feel that the veil is being lifted in this way, and things are shifting in the energy on this. And you know, it's like when there is like a need, like I need this from you, there's a sense of separation, and there's a sense of incompleteness that's happening within that leads us to believe that someone or something outside of us is going to fill that emptiness. And what happens is we continue to do this, and we continue to vocalize this. And I don't want to say it's always from a form of desperation, but there's like this piece where it's like that looking outside of ourself to feel whole, right? Like when we think we need to have something met, like a need being met that's outside of ourselves, there's this belief that something outside of ourselves is going to create the fulfillment, the joy, the completeness, the happiness, and that's absolutely the furthest thing from the truth. So that's the first piece. The second piece, so I choose the word desire. And again, I really think it's about the come from. because words, it doesn't necessarily matter. It's about the resonance. It's about the frequency. It's about the emotional state. It's about the come from. And I just noticed for myself patterns when I felt like I needed something, or when I was really standing firm in my, like, I need something from you, or I need this in order to feel XYZ, or in order to have XYZ, or in order to do XYZ. There was a sense that somebody else needed to, like, fulfill that for me. And there's a sense of powerlessness there. And with the word boundaries, I was talking to one of my clients yesterday about this. And boundary also has this sense of need, has this sense of, like, I need something from you in order to. And there's this, I don't know what word to use, but there's almost like a butting up against, there's almost like more contraction, there's almost like there's this charged, triggered response that usually comes from setting a boundary, right? Like somebody oversteps. And we get to remember that we cause and co-create everything in our world. I know that's a high practice that not everybody understands, but generally, when we feel a boundary is crossed, it's coming up for our healing. It's coming up to show us places inside that we're not free. And when we tell somebody else, like, I need this from you, and I'm setting this boundary, and here's my stake in the ground, the resonance, the emotional state is actually not expansive most of the time. And so the key for this, for me, is like, when, like, for me right now, I'm going through a lot of shifts, and relationships are shifting, and new relationships are entering my life, and old relationships are leaving my life. But there's no, like, you're not in my life anymore, or like, you're not serving me anymore, or I don't like the way that you're showing up in the world, so I am going to end this. It's more of this, like, beautiful, slithery approach to just navigating life and letting life unfold and unravel, and just trusting in the relationships that are coming in and out. Because what I found, and I'll give an example, is the more that I ask my significant other, my husband, the more that I say I need something from you, and the more that I set a boundary, the more I repel him. The more he doesn't understand what my desires are, the more resistance it's creating. When I show up in love, and when I'm able to express myself in a way where I recognize that I am co-creating this experience right now, the moment that I realize that when I'm asking for something that I need, or when I'm looking to set a boundary, I realize that I've shown up in that way for others in the past, right? Like, I've been on the receiving end and or the giving end in other relationships in my life, and feeling what that feels like, and knowing that I am not separate from that experience, not separate from betrayal, not separate from belittling, not separate from steamrolling, not separate from apathy, not separate from control, not separate from judgment, not separate from gaslighting. You know, when I'm seeking something that comes from a place of need or boundary, every single time I'm actually able to connect with an experience in my life previously where I have created that emotion inside somebody else, that lack inside somebody else, that charged response inside somebody else. And so I think this is really part of the collective, the entire, like, radio frequency dial in the collective is completely shifting, where there was a need, there was a time and a place for need and boundary, because we were in the masculine paradigm, like we were in the paradigm of the dismantling and the shifting, and now the veil is being lifted. Now we're stepping into the new paradigm, which is truly unconditional love. And I really want to make myself clear that unconditional love does not mean you're a pretzel, does not mean that you don't stand up for yourself, right? Like, this is about standing for something. This is about being so rooted and grounded and stable within, that there's this unshakable confidence within. And there is no need or boundary that needs to be set, because you are just you, and you are just yourself, and you are just living authentically, and you have an open heart, and you can still be direct, and you can still ask for your desires and claim your desires, and you can still stand up for what you believe in with an open heart, in a way where people can feel that unconditional love and still feel your power and still feel your directness and still feel that courage. So what happens when we do that is others are able to meet us in that resonance. Because what I have found historically in the past is when we claim our stake in the ground, and it's a need, right? We can still be fierce and unconditionally loving in our heart, but the resonance of the need and the boundary historically that I've seen in the past and witnessed in the past, and what I'm like, how I'm sourcing this too, is from a place of contracted emotional states. And it's actually creating more separation, and it's actually creating more divisiveness, and it's actually creating more separation from wholeness, more separation from accepting and recognizing that all of these aspects of self live within. And so this is just an invitation, right? Like, try it on. There's like certain knowings inside of me. And I think I really want a presence that, like, just because I have these knowings, it's like my higher self. There's my higher self and there's my human self, right? There's like the miraculous self and there's the mundane self. And it's not to say that it doesn't take practice for me. This is constant practice for me to be in this energy. But I have the awareness, and when I do show up in feeling this like need or boundary or like like energy, I notice it, like I allow myself to be with it, and then I create a new resonance, and then I create a new reality, and it feels so much better. And my relationships are beginning to thrive, and some relationships are perhaps being let go for now, but it's feeling good and it's feeling expansive, and new relationships are coming in and new experiences are coming in. And it just feels like even when there's conflict, or even when there's like stretching out of growth edges, it still feels really expansive to be in that state. And to me, expansive feels like freedom and joy. And what I really feel like I'm here to create in this world is to show others how to feel alive, how to feel joy, how to truly like experience all of life, like even in everything that gets thrown our way, like even in the changing of relationship, like even in like everything that's happening in the world right now. And that feels really good, that I am living this, I am practicing this. I still feel need and boundary, right? I still feel this like this triggered, charged response, but then I meet it, and then I choose a new frequency. Like I choose to show up. So what I'm doing when I meet it is I'm meeting it with self. I'm not immediately going to the other person and saying, I need this from you, and I'm setting this boundary, and this is what I'm available for, and da-da-da-da-da. No, I'm doing that with myself. And then when I'm in that state of expansion, when I'm in that open-heartedness, when I'm in that space of sovereignty and power within, which to me is like the wholeness of the masculine and the feminine, then I'm being in relationship with other. And then there's opportunity for possibility and conversation and solution for both parties. And I'm noticing that there's healing and there's transformation and there's transmutation with both parties. And I feel a sense of responsibility because there's something inside of me that just feels that this is true right now in this moment. And this is how we get to shift the consciousness of the planet one by one, while being in relationship with self, being in relationship with those that we love. and having that expand out into all of the beings of the world, right? And all of the people that we touch. So I would love to know how this is landing. And, you know, this may be a triggering conversation. This may not necessarily make sense right now. It is a very high practice to operate from this stance, and I am still in the middle of it. And I don't know if I'll ever be a true master of it. I'm setting that intention for myself, but it feels exciting for me. It feels like freedom and possibility in my body. And I want all beings to be able to show up in this way and to almost welcome it, knowing what's possible. So I love you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for just listening with an open heart and truly letting me share what's kind of coming through during this time as I'm, you know, stepping out of my growth edges to continue to share more to more groups of people in hopes that it could support during this time. Much love. Happy weekend. Talk to you soon.